most of you know that we're out here every Friday. We've been coming out here every Friday since late 2001, over 6 years. And we're not going anywhere except around a few blocks, make a little noise. We've got someone here who wishes to remain anonymous, who would like to say a few words, so I'm going to turn the megaphone over to her. That's the author of a lot of music, we know your name.
Tonight I'm going to be speaking on freedom of speech in the town square. As you all know, we have been out here for over 6 years speaking out against wars and violence and speaking for the cause of peace and justice. Last month, we were advised that we were in violation of a noise ordinance which forbids the use of magnified sound or the drums which have led us on our many, many marches around the city. I am saying loudly and clearly that this is not an issue of noise. This is an issue of freedom of speech. The powers that be in our city have told us that to continue speaking out using our well-worn megaphones will result in a citation which may ultimately result in fines and community service. Those using the drums may well be subject to the same penalties. Pioneer Courthouse Square has always been considered Portland's living room. It serves the function of the public square where people throughout the ages have spoken out. As one of our members recently reminded us, this right has its roots in the Athenian marketplace, where people gathered to share their ideas and thoughts. Can the city of Portland, hundreds of years later, deny us that same right? It appears they are trying to do so. Standing up for one's rights is not an easy thing, and there are always those forces who are bent on the denial of those rights. Earlier this week, we celebrated the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. He was in the forefront of making sure that the rights of everyone were accorded and respected. How were those people who followed him dealt with? They were brutalized with dogs, clubs, and fire hoses. Well, we certainly can't compare the piece of paper that the City of Portland and Pioneer Square Inc. will give us for exercising our rights of free speech. Isn't that basically the same thing? Of course it is. That piece of paper says that we will pay a penalty for exercising our right of free speech. And we have been told that this is not going to be a one-time thing. Every time one of us steps up to speak using the megaphone, so our voices can be heard, we will be given that piece of paper. Will we stop? No. Just as those who have fought for their freedoms through the centuries and through the years, when one of us goes down, another one will step up. Freedom of speech is much too precious to give in to threats and intimidation. We will continue to speak out and to amplify that speech, as the consequences of not doing so are too horrendous to contemplate. Thank you.
Thank you, nameless person. So, I don't have any announcements at the moment. If anyone does, we could, now's the time.
Same old me. I just want to reiterate, please be thinking positive about impeachment. Think positive, it will happen in 2008. The other thing is tonight at the Red and Black on 12th and Oak, there is going to be a man named Tom Greco, who is internationally and nationally known because of his work around local and local currency and investment. And we will be hearing him and talking about starting a local currency here in Portland. It'll be fascinating.
All right, well, I see we have the drum corps here, so we can make a little bit more noise than we would if we didn't have them here, but we're going to make a lot of noise anyway. So I think we're going to head over to the Federal Building.
We'll go to the Federal Building, and then we'll talk about the crisis in Gaza.
Okay, okay.
Thanks for doing that. You're welcome. Putting everything together.
And the largest prison in the world is Gaza. Gaza is totally surrounded and cut off from the outside world by Israel. They have blockaded any food aid, any medical aid, any supplies of any kind. Fuel is not allowed through, so that their generators run out of fuel and can't produce the electricity needed to operate the pumps to pump the water. Tens of people have died as a result of not being able to get across the border to seek medical aid. People of Gaza are prisoners in their own land. This is called collective punishment. It doesn't matter who they are. It's not just a few terrorists. It's everybody. It's families, women, children. Everybody are prisoners in their own land. This must end. Israel must end the occupation of the Palestinian territories.
And the U.S. must end its funding of Israel's funding of
Israel out of Palestine, end the occupation. Israel out of Palestine, end the occupation. Israel out of Palestine, end the occupation. Israel out of Palestine, end the occupation.
Remember me?
I remember you now, kind of. You know, I mean, I've seen you a few times.
Not here. You knew me before.
I know you from somewhere.
Yeah, but you don't remember. I had the Air Force station in 47 in Kingsford.
God! You're back then?
Yeah, I was there for 16 years.
I know. How you doing? Good, good. You look real familiar. Now I remember. Yeah. Well, thanks for being out here doing this. I'm very inspired by you. Good. Well, that's what we need. Yeah, well, now you put a face to the place, so I know.
I've been doing it like this for 29 years. But I was there, kind of closet. Well,
yeah, me too, kind of. It's been the last 5 years that I've ratcheted it up, and now I'm out every day just trying to. Good. Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I have a website called Joe Anybody. So if you Google Joe Anybody, you'll find all my stuff.
Okay.
Good. Okay, good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'll see you more too. Okay.
You're fascist. The German people loved Adolf Hitler too.
This is America.
Remember, follow Adolf. He has a plan.
We're America. We're burning up the field. You don't guess how it can be.
Joe, how are you today?
Good, buddy.
going for 40 years, actually 60 years, and he's considered that really Afghanistan and Iraq by the United States military. United States out of Iraq. Yes, the occupation. 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 United States out of Iraq. Yes, the occupation.
That's important.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. Excuse me, I have to get home.
He's like calling the president.
Tonight we're focused on the West Bank and Gaza. Truth be told, we have to talk about other occupied territories by the State of Israel. Those occupations backed by billions of dollars each year from the United States of America, from our taxes that are financing this illegal, criminal, bloody occupation that, as Rob pointed out, has been going on since the Six-Day War. If we talk about the West Bank, Gaza. But if we go back to 1948, we also have a history of dispossession. A history of dispossession that has been described by many Israeli historians, not just Ilan Pappé, but many other Israelis who have the courage to face that history and to call it what it was, which was ethnic cleansing without the television cameras. Entire hundreds of villages destroyed, Palestinian villages destroyed. And today, in Israel, there are villages that are known as the unrecognized villages. These are Palestinians who held on, despite the pressures to leave, to flee, who held on and continue to hold on. And these villages, in spite of their being within the Green Line, essentially Israeli citizens, do not get nearly the kinds of services that Jewish citizens of Israel get. Jimmy Carter, who talked about the potential of apartheid and the reality of apartheid in the occupied territories, was very careful to say, I'm not talking about inside the Green Line, but discrimination exists within the Green Line as well. What we see in Gaza is just the most extreme case of this kind of occupation. In spite of, unlike the West Bank where they have settlements, huge settlements, completely illegal settlements of Palestinian land. In spite of the fact that Gaza no longer has those settlements, still it is an occupied land. The Israelis control the sea coast. The Israelis control the rest of the border with the State of Israel. And what we saw on the border with Egypt was just an astonishing expression of defiance. Because as Rashid Khalidi pointed out when he was here, typically how that border works is that the Israelis say, we can't guarantee your security. And that closes the border. They have European observers there, they have Egyptians there, but the Israelis need only say, we can't guarantee your security any longer at that border crossing, and the border crossing closes. That's how that part of this prison cell is controlled. But we're not just here to appeal to American citizens to write to their representatives in Washington, to try to tip the balance in favor of justice and away from the realpolitik that has controlled U.S. policy for so long. We're also here, and here I'll need a volunteer, someone with a hat whose head can remain warm a little while. We're also here to raise some funds. To raise some funds for the people who are trying to help in Gaza. And there are a number of very courageous efforts underway. I'm going to do a little participatory democracy. I'd like to suggest, and if there are other suggestions, we can be open to this, that we either give our donations to the Middle East Children's Alliance, which is very active in Gaza, or if you may have heard, there is a relief convoy that the Israeli peace groups and Palestinian groups have launched to break through this blockade of Gaza. It's being organized by Gush Shalom. Now we can split it down the middle and say 50-50 for each of these relief farms. Let me just put that to a vote. How many here would like to split 50-50 between these two wonderful efforts? Raise your hands high. Are there any objections to going that way? None seen. That's how these donations will go. And as I have always said, you're probably tired of hearing it. Give not until it hurts. Give until it feels good. Reach in, and you think you're going to give a $5 or maybe a 10, and don't just double it. Maybe even triple it tonight. Because these two organizations, these two efforts, are backed by really some of the most respected and courageous peace activists on the planet, in my view. Behind the efforts of this convoy is the Israeli Committee Against House Demolitions. These are people like Jeff Halper who literally chain themselves to fixtures in a Palestinian house in an effort to stop the demolition of that house. And when they maybe don't succeed in stopping a demolition, they go into the territories and rebuild these houses. And in the case of the Middle East Children's Alliance, you may have heard Dr. Mona El-Farad this morning on cable. She tirelessly works. Now, she's a medical doctor. And the fact of the matter is, if you have a medical degree, there are plenty of places on this planet that you can practice medicine and have a very comfortable living. But she chooses to continue to live in Gaza. In spite of her privilege, she chooses to continue to live in Gaza and struggle for development and struggle for the lives of the children who have been traumatized by this occupation. So I appeal to everyone here to give very, very generously tonight. We'll announce how much we raised. Perhaps we'll put it up on our PPRC website. If there's anybody else who would like to talk a little bit about what they know is going on in Gaza while I reach into my wallet and make a donation, please step forward. And thank you, as always, for coming out tonight.
I'm glad. You know, I knew there was a reason why I brought these earmuffs too. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Let me just check here, because I think I've got another picture of... Oh, yeah, it's Jackson, isn't it? No, I just don't need
genocidal. See what he did to the Seminoles? Greg, get it out of your wallet. Everybody 20. Get rid of them. They're hating you.
The Seminoles and the Church.
Cherokee too. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, it started on
Regina,
Juneau and
Regina.
worked its way north.
Regina,
We're gonna have to sort this out. It was
Oh,
y'all were
Don't
all
be kind
very
to Yosef
generous.
either, as I recall.
let me see.
Oh, I don't mean count, but I mean just yeah. Are you there? Well,
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
See you guys. I'm gonna hopefully cross the bridge.
Don't tell me you're gonna stand there and show your sign on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
As
Well,
usual.
Thanks
for being here. Good job. Thank you, Steve.
I'd like to make a little announcement. I know it's a little ways off, but mark your calendars for March 15th. That's when the next major mobilization against the war is taking place. I want you to each to think about what you can do to help end this war. A march, a rally is one thing. Meeting others, talking to others, writing your senator or representative, writing to newspaper, calling, emailing, faxing, organizing. We need to end this war, these wars and occupations. The March 15th mobilization will also be working to end the occupation of Palestine, to end the war on the homeless and the poor and the immigrants. The one for the one to get the Constitution back.
I didn't sell one copy of the whole entire lot.
I love you folks. And an end to the war on our liberty. That's Saturday, March 15th. From Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. From Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace. Oregon to the Middle East. Work for justice, work for peace.
We all bleed red. I read a few days ago that, and forgive me for the forgetting who did this compilation, but a compilation of all the lies told by various members of the Bush administration, including Bush himself, of course, that led up to the Iraq War was compiled. There was something like 935 documented instances of lies being told publicly in order to get support for an illegal, absolutely unnecessary, absolutely immoral, unjust war.
Wrong war, wrong day, wrong leader.
So,
Folks, you want a bumper sticker?
it can't be more evident, it can't be more plain that Bush led us into war. And when Bush lied, people die. Bush died. People die. Bush died. People die. Bush died. People die. Bush died. People
walking?
Well, that wraps up another Friday evening rally. I want to thank you all for coming out on this chilly evening. If you also know our drum corps, you are great as always. And that's about all I've got to say for tonight. If anyone has anything they'd like to contribute.
It's cold. I'll take the gloves.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, when's our next big rally?
March 15th.
Saturday.
Saturday, March 15th.
Where at, y'all?
Park blocks.
Where he ends, I'm not sure.
Hey, thanks. How about 5 o'clock next week?
Yep, 5 o'clock next week.
Oh, it never ends until we get what we want.
Oh,
No, it doesn't look like it.
But you don't do it every day.
Every Friday.
Okay.